Hi there, my name is Travis, and I wanted to talk about one of my favorite plant medicines called San Pedro. And this is a little San Pedro cactus that I have growing in this pot here, so you can see what it looks like. This is a little bit skinnier one. I live in Washington where we don't get as much sun and we get a little bit of rain, and they grow a little skinnier up here. Some places they could probably be like that big around where mine is, that big around. Um, this is also a short one. They can grow about a foot a year and can get up to 20 plus feet tall. Really beautiful cactus. They're a popular ornamental plant in the United States because they have incredibly beautiful big white flowers that bloom. And so a lot of people grow them. You can sometimes get this medicine at Home Depot or Walmart. You can order it online. And it's great because this plant medicine is legal to grow and it's legal to buy and sell. So if you want to grow some in your house, like I have growing, um, you know, it's totally a okay thing to do in our country, and a good way to connect with it is just growing it and being around it, connecting with it, meditating with it, trying to talk to it, taking care of it. It's also just a really beautiful plant to have in your home. So working with this as a plant medicine, San Pedro has been used for healing for at least 4,000 years. Just last year, they found a 4,000-year-old petrified piece of San Pedro in a temple in Lima, Peru. And before that, the oldest evidence of people working with it was this carving of a San Pedro shaman from Shaman de Wanter. This guy holding a big cactus with like snakes growing out of his hair and a jaguar face and condor wings. It's a really beautiful carving from a really awesome temple. And this medicine normally grows in Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia, and it's been growing there forever. But because it's such a beautiful plant, it just became a popular ornamental plant, and especially if you live somewhere warmer like California or Arizona, you might see this growing in a lot of people's houses just because it's a beautiful plant, super easy to grow, and very prolific. So this is one of my favorite plant medicines for a couple of different reasons. A lot of people call it heart medicine because San Pedro goes straight to your heart and really opens your heart. Um, when you're working with it in ceremony, um, it's not as visionary as some of the other medicines, like ayahuasca, for example. It's more of an emotional medicine. So it is possible sometimes to have visions with it, but a lot of times you don't have so many visions, but all these emotions will come up, maybe repressed emotions or emotions related to something you've neglected. If you're working on healing and going into your healing path with this, a lot of times San Pedro really focuses on healing through the heart and healing through love, compassion, and forgiveness. So you'll see the people in your life and you'll understand them in a different way that allows you to have more compassion for them and to forgive them for the ways they've hurt you. You'll see the ways that you've hurt people, but you'll have understanding for yourself and why you were stuck in that pattern that caused you to hurt somebody. And you'll start to have compassion and forgiveness and love for yourself too. And when you start having this experience of seeing like, oh wow, I hurt that person because I was hurt, you start to understand when people hurt you, it was because they were hurt and they were acting from that place of woundedness. And so you start to really relate to and understand the people in your life differently. And it's a really beautiful thing. Some plant medicines, they really feel like they're taking you into the spirit world to work with spirits, and you're having this whole like out of body journey sometimes. With San Pedro, it's not usually like that. With San Pedro, it often feels more like spirit is coming into your body and you're seeing the world around you through the eyes of God. You're seeing your life in a different way. And the beautiful thing about that is it's very practical and focused, and everything makes sense that San Pedro shows you. It's very direct and clear and easy to understand. So, sometimes you'll work with certain plant medicines and they'll feel a little confusing, or something will happen, you'll get this insight, but you don't exactly see how to fit it into your life. With San Pedro, it almost always makes sense how to fit that into your life, how to let go of that pain, how to heal and move on and transcend. I also love San Pedro because I feel like it doesn't have any darkness. It's just a beautiful, loving plant that's filled with light. the original name for San Pedro was Wachuma. It's a Quechua word. Some people say it translates as dizzy head or crazy head or unscrew the head. And I think that has to do with, sometimes it can make you feel like a little wobbly, but I think it has more to do with it's changing your perception so that you're not over analyzing as much. You're really seeing the world more through your heart and thinking with your heart and feeling with your heart and acting from your heart. Um, but when the Spanish came to South America, they started outlining a lot of the indigenous spiritual practices because they wanted to force Catholicism onto them. So part of the way they did that was by trying to destroy and outlaw a lot of their culture. So when the Catholics started teaching the locals about the different saints, and the locals heard about Saint Peter, which in Spanish is San Pedro, and they heard that Saint Peter holds the keys to heaven, and they thought, wow, Saint Peter is really Wachuma because this cactus holds the keys to heaven. It's this beautiful heavenly plant that teaches you how to create heaven on earth in your life, teaches you how to live from your heart and be a good person that treats others and treats yourself with kindness and love and compassion. So, there's a lot of different plant medicines. I think if there was a plant medicine that can maybe save the earth, it might be San Pedro just because it's so direct and so loving. And I feel like a lot of our problems in our culture come from, we're not being compassionate enough towards ourselves and towards each other. And so when you really learn how to heal your heart and live from your heart, uh, it creates a way to heal and work through a lot of the problems in your life in a way where you're not so much cleansing out the darkness. It's more about transcending the darkness and raising yourself to this higher level and living from there so that the darkness doesn't touch you anymore. You learn from your past and you grow and you heal so that your past no longer controls you and you can live more in the moment as a free spirit coming from your heart. San Pedro is often a more gentle medicine, but also often still very, very deep. Anytime I work with San Pedro, I always have very practical, personal insights about my life, about my past, and how I came to be the person I am now. And it helped me turn a lot of my wounds and traumas from the past into a source of strength and wisdom. When you learn from the pain and trouble in your life, you take that pain and trouble and you turn it into something positive, something that you can create something beautiful with. So it's a really beautiful medicine with a lot of really important, beautiful lessons. If you want to work with this medicine, a lot of times the best way is if you can find a good practitioner that hosts ceremony for you. Some people might find that they need to travel to South America, to Peru or Ecuador, to sit with a healer that hosts San Pedro ceremonies. And I think that's a great way to work with San Pedro because this is a gentler medicine and it's not as disorienting or confusing or overwhelming. For people that don't have access to shamans or healers to work with, this is probably one of the better medicines to work with on your own. If you're going to do that, I recommend starting off with smaller doses. Some people are really sensitive to this medicine, and I think it's good before you start taking a big dose on your own to build a relationship with it first and build some trust and rapport with it so that you start to trust this medicine and you start to also trust yourself and have more of a foundation of love that you can go deeper into your more challenging ceremonies with. We do a retreat every year in Peru. We work with San Pedro and ayahuasca in the retreat. And I like to start and finish the retreat with San Pedro and put the ayahuasca in the middle. And this always ends up being like the perfect way to work with these medicines in combination for people on the retreat. San Pedro is a little less intimidating, so it's this nice way to introduce yourself to the plant medicine, start to get grounded into Peru and embrace this new place where you're staying. And it gives you this foundation of love and light and heavenly energy. So when you go into the darker ayahuasca ceremonies, you have that foundation of love and understanding. And you've already kind of gotten the ball rolling with San Pedro. So ayahuasca at that point is often a little less intimidating. And then I like to finish with San Pedro because it's such a practical medicine. If there's any confusion about how to integrate what you were experiencing during ayahuasca, the San Pedro gives you a clear picture of how to fit all of that into your life. And I find that after the initial San Pedro and a couple ayahuasca ceremonies, that final San Pedro is like the icing on the cake. You're already at this level where you've been doing this consecutive healing work that the San Pedro just takes you super deep. And every year when we do this retreat, we do the ceremonies in this order, everybody says that last San Pedro was the deepest of all the ceremonies. Um, it just builds on everything that comes before it and puts it into this very practical package that really makes a lot of sense and really ties a bow on everything you're doing. And I feel like it does that with love. So you see how to take all the lessons you've been learning through the treat and embrace those lessons with love and express and create those lessons in your life with love. Um, San Pedro is easy to obtain in a lot of places because it's legal to buy, sell, and grow. It's a little bit easier to find. Just be careful when you're making it and cooking it. You can find recipes online sometimes on how to cook it. And I also have some recipes in my book, The Plant Remedy, if you want to check that book out. It also has a lot of tips on how to create a more successful, effective, and safe ceremony for yourself. But there's a lot of different ways to work with San Pedros. Some people, I'm not going to cook this one. This one I'm growing from a house. But you could get a cutting like this, chop it up, and you could boil it for like 5-6 hours and make a tea. Some people like to skin it first. I don't skin it. I don't notice any beneficial effects from skinning it. I do take out the little spikes. Just makes it a little bit easier to handle when you're cooking it. But you boil it for a while, strain out the plant material, and then if you want to make it stronger so you don't have to drink so much liquid, you could reduce it after that. You can also just push this whole thing through a juicer, make raw juice, and drink it that way. And if you're in like Peru or Ecuador, it's easy to get San Pedro powder where they just chop something like this up, dry it in the sun, and then powder it. And you can just stir that powder straight into water and drink it. And it's a really easy way to work with San Pedro. If you do have the chance to sit with an experienced healer, I really recommend that. Sometimes it's a deeper experience because they're helping introduce you to the plant and they already have such a deep relationship with it that they can help you get that deeper connection. And a lot of times it'll be a little bit stronger ceremony. And because you have somebody there supporting you and holding space for you, you can really do a strong dose of the medicine and have a really deep and powerful experience. And if you're struggling with anything, they can help you. There's different ways to do ceremonies with San Pedro. Some of the more Catholic influenced ceremonies are at nighttime, and you'll sit at night. There's always like a big altar, and whoever's serving the medicine will often like sing medicine songs and do energy work for people and work with the altar. And that's a great and beautiful way to work with San Pedro. Sometimes it's a little bit more visionary in the dark and a little bit more introspective. My favorite way to work with San Pedro is outside in nature during the day, though. This medicine's great because since it's not so disorienting, you can think clearly, you can talk regularly, you can usually walk around fine. Um, it doesn't make it hard to function at all, but it does help you see the world differently. And in the sun, it really, or just outside in nature, it really empowers that feeling of love that San Pedro fosters for people. And so you really start seeing the world around you with love. You feel really connected to nature and to the earth. And the clouds will come by and talk to you, and this tree will talk to you, and the earth will breathe and talk to you. And to me, there's something really beautiful about connecting with nature with plant medicines. And I find a lot of healing through that. And the ceremonies sometimes during the day feel like a little bit more positive, and a little bit less dark, which especially if you're working on your own and just starting out, that can be a good way to initially connect with the medicine so you build that foundation of love and trust that I mentioned before. Uh, there's a lot of different ways to work with this medicine and a lot of different ways that you can get in contact with it. If you ever want to visit Peru with us and stay with our friend and our teacher, Leslie, who's sometimes called La Gringa, We do host retreats every summer in Peru. Just contact me and I can help you organize coming down with us. Otherwise, there's a lot of good practitioners out there working with this medicine, and I'm sure you can find them in Ecuador and Peru. And if you decide to work with this medicine on your own, I highly recommend my book, The Plant Remedy, or at least checking out our website, soulremedy.org. There's some more information about this beautiful medicine. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below, or if you want to share any of your experiences or thoughts about San Pedro, I'd love to hear other people's experiences with San Pedro, and I hope you enjoyed this talk. I'll talk to you later. Bye.